Welcome to Bridging Borders, the podcast where we try to bridge the gap between cultures through insightful conversations.
Together we explore diverse topics from productivity to language learning, all the while helping you improve your English skills.
Hey Veronika, how are you?
Hi Sam, I'm doing good, I guess. I got a little bit sick, but I'm very excited to record this episode because we are going to talk about getting sick abroad. And I just came back from my trip, so I guess I kind of got sick abroad.
Yeah, how fitting. It's almost like you
Yeah.
planned it.
Yeah, but I'm not very happy about it, to be honest, because obviously when you're sick, you don't feel that great. And yeah, it's better when you're not sick, of course.
Absolutely. And how was your trip?
My trip was really great. I really enjoyed spending time with my family. I really wanted to see my grandparents the most because they can't really travel much and they don't want to. They kind of feel maybe a little bit like scared to travel a lot. Yeah, and I saw my family, my cousins, my aunt, my uncle. So it was really nice. I really enjoyed it. There was a lot of snow, so something that I also wanted to see because I kind of missed the snow. So it was really nice. I really like that too. So the only thing is, I got sick because of the constant time change, and I had to travel for so basically, originally I took a 15-hour flight, and then I had to take another 3-hour flight. And then the exact same thing happened when I was coming back to Mexico. It's like first I had to fly for like 3 hours and then 14 hours, and my body was just exhausted. And then obviously the jet lag, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And I got sick.
Did you get jet lag going in both directions? Because I've heard that you can only get jet lag in going one direction, east or west, but I don't know if that's true. So did you get jet lag
Ooh.
in both directions?
I think for sure both directions. I think I got jet lagged like in different ways, I would say, because when I was flying east, I think it happens to every single person. You kind of start going to bed later and waking up later because you're used to like your kind of, your everyday life, and then everything shifts forward, I guess. And because of that, I remember the first night I slept for like 12 hours. I was exhausted. I think it was because it was jet lag, and I was exhausted because of my flight. I barely slept on my flight. So, but when I was coming back to Mexico, so basically flying west, I got jet lag too. I feel like maybe I still have a little bit of a jet lag because I really like I get so tired at like 7 p.m. And that's at least that was what happens to me when I fly west. I want to go to bed earlier, and because of that, I want to wake up earlier. Like the first few nights, it was like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. I was up, and I'm like, well, now what? I'm awake. What do I do now? So this is, yeah, for me, it works like this. So if I fly east, I want to wake up later. If I fly west, I want to wake up earlier.
What does jet lag actually feel like? Because I've only been abroad. I've been to America twice and I've been to New Zealand. So they're quite far away from the UK, but
Hmm.
they were a long time ago. And I flew from um, Las Vegas to New Zealand. So it wasn't like I flew from the UK to New Zealand in one. But what is jet lag? Is it just feeling like you're in a different time zone, like you're ready to go to bed in the afternoon and you're awake you feel energized at different times? Is that it, or are there other symptoms?
I would say this is it. I would say you just feel like your internal clock, right, feels like something is wrong. Because let's say it's like 10 a.m. in Mexico City, and like in Georgia and Russia, it would be 7, 8 p.m. So by 7 and 8 p.m., it's already dark. And you wake up, and like here, it's sunny, you're ready to go, but your body is like, I don't think I'm ready to go. Like, why is it sunny? Like, it just feels weird. You feel a little bit disoriented, I would say, because you're so used to, oh, it should be dark right now. Why is it not dark? Your body, like this feeling that you get, right? So I would say, and because of that, obviously, you just feel a little bit like disoriented, you feel a little bit off, you feel tired, right? Like usually, I would say a lot of people here in Mexico City, they don't go to bed at 7 p.m. But the first few days, I was so incredibly just exhausted by 7 p.m. I was like, I can't, like, I just want to go to bed right now. And I would just fall asleep immediately.
What are you supposed? Did you research what you're supposed to do or combating it? Because I'm guessing you're supposed to just try and. It depends how long you're staying in the new place for. If you're maybe staying for 1 day, then maybe it's not
Yeah,
worth trying to change your
no.
your body clock that quickly. But if you're there for a holiday or a week or something, I guess you're supposed to try and start going to sleep when you're supposed to be going to sleep in that country.
I would say so. I mean, I think there are different strategies, and different strategies work for different people. I remember I once read this book, Why We Sleep, by Matthew Walker, if I'm not.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It's a great book. And I think there he shared like a few tips on how to approach jet lag and how to combat it. In terms of my experience, I think for me, I just have to push through. Like, I know some people take melatonin pills or something like that, but for me, it doesn't really work. And I honestly, I don't want to do that because I know that eventually my body is gonna get used to it. I just need to wait. Obviously, like because you are changing so many different time zones, it's going to take time. Like you can't expect your body to be like, well, now here, and that's it. Like, it's my new life, a new time zone. I'm ready. Let's go. I guess there are some people who feel this way, but I think most people do need a little bit of time. I've heard on the internet that some people say that for every hour, um, that you travel through, it's kind of like the time change, right? Happens, you need 1 day to recover. So basically now, like let's say my time difference with like Georgia, Russia is 11 hours. And so I need like 9 to 11 hours. So I need 9 to 11 days to fully recover and to feel like, okay, I'm in Mexico City now. This is the time zone I'm experiencing. And that's why people always say, oh, if you want to try, if you're going to go somewhere where the time is so different, you have to go there for like at least a month or like 3 weeks, a month, because it's going to be very hard for your body to be like here and there and like recover. And here's a different time zone. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, that
Mhm.
makes sense. No one would ever want to go to Australia from the UK for a week then, would they?
Yeah. But I guess, yeah, it depends on a person. Some people can recover faster, but at the same time, maybe you feel like you fully recovered, but your body is still like, I need a little bit more time, right? So, like, we never know what's actually going on the inside. I don't know if we can actually somehow test it, but
And how many time zones are there in Russia? And do you think you can get jet lag from going one side to the other? Because I think there are quite a few, aren't there?
absolutely, yeah. There are a lot of time zones in Russia. Let me see, time zones in Russia. I think probably, okay, there are 11 time zones in Russia. That's
What?
crazy.
That's crazy.
Yep. So you can get pretty jet lagged, I think, obviously traveling
Yeah.
from one side to the other. Yeah.
And do you drink or like have caffeine regularly? Drink coffee or tea?
No, I don't drink coffee. So I think
Really?
I stay away from caffeine because, well, first of all, my body doesn't really tolerate coffee that well. Every time I drink coffee, my heart starts racing, so I just don't feel that great. And also, like, I know that maybe it's better not to drink coffee. And like there's like a lot of different opinions, right, on coffee. So I don't know, I don't really like coffee that much, and again, my body doesn't feel great when I drink coffee. So you just need to give it a little bit more time, right? Because usually we drink coffee because we're tired or like we're sleepy, but instead of working with the actual cause, like, why are you tired in the first place? Why are you sleepy? Maybe you don't sleep enough. So why don't you sleep more? How can you make sure you sleep enough? People start drinking coffee instead of just enjoying it as a drink. Like, oh, I love coffee. It's a great drink. Let me try to like make it for myself, or like go to my favorite coffee shop. But so many people, they're just like, I feel tired. I can't function without coffee. I think this sentence, I can't function without coffee, to me just doesn't sound enticing. Like, I don't want to be that person who says I can't function without something, like coffee.
Yeah, I drink coffee every day, and I don't know if I can't function because I never go a day without drinking it. So,
But why do you
but
drink coffee? Do you drink coffee because you like it, or because you feel like I can't, if I don't drink coffee, I'm gonna be irritable, I'm gonna be angry.
I think I sleep pretty well, and I've got good sleep hygiene. I go to sleep at, usually the same time, like close to the same time every night, and wake up at a similar time, and it's usually minimum 8 hours. So I don't think I do. If I'd like stop drinking, I don't think I would need. I don't need it, but I do drink it every day. So maybe I do need it. But I do like the taste. I like the process of like getting it, and it just makes my morning better, I guess. So when I get into the office, the first thing I do is do some meditation, and then I have a coffee afterwards, and it just makes me feel a little bit more alert, I guess. Or yeah, maybe one way to say it is I feel normal.
I feel normal.
But yeah,
But
I think that's what people say.
imagine one day, maybe you're traveling and you just don't have like access to coffee, or I don't know, just something happens, you're like, I'm not gonna drink coffee for one day. Just like, when you think about it, do you think you're gonna feel okay or no?
Yeah, I don't know. The only time I never drink coffee is, well, I did do an experiment about 2 years ago where I thought, okay, I've been drinking this every day since I was like 16, so maybe it'd be worth trying not drinking it and seeing how I feel. And I weaned myself off, so I started drinking less and less and less. It's not like I drink that much anyway. It's usually like two cups of coffee a day, so one an hour and a half after I wake up, and then another one just before lunchtime, so maybe like 12, half 12, one. And yeah, I started just having smaller and smaller amounts, and then I think I got like 2 or 3 days in without no caffeine, but I just felt not as good as I usually do, so I just started drinking coffee again.
Okay.
But maybe that's just because my body was getting used to not having caffeine in my system, because it usually just have caffeine in my system at all times. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I enjoy it. I don't think it's too harmful. But even every time I go on YouTube, well, not every time, but sometimes I go on YouTube and there's just like a thumbnail which is like why coffee is the worst thing ever. And then I listen to a podcast and someone says caffeine is good for, your brain. And I think there's just so many contrasting opinions, but I think caffeine is the most widely used drug worldwide, and I think it's pretty safe. So I'm quite happy just continue drinking it. But maybe I'm just like talking like an addict. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I drank a little bit of coffee, but again, every time I would drink it, I just felt horrible. So that's why I never actually started drinking coffee. And surprisingly, the only person in my family who does drink coffee regularly is my dad, because he literally likes the process of making coffee. Yeah, like my sister, she's 19, 20. She's gonna turn 20 soon. So, usually that's like the period where you're just like, coffee, coffee, I can't live without coffee. And she's like, no, I don't really need it. I don't really want it. So yeah, I think it's also really depends on the person. I know there are a lot of people who just, they're like, okay, coffee it exists, but I don't really care about it.
Yeah, I can really notice when I drink too much that I get a lot more anxious. So if you are feeling anxious, maybe try and cut down on your caffeine, because I was recently, when I was at home, I was using some of my dad's pre-workout, which you're supposed to take before the gym to give you more energy, and it has lots of caffeine in. And I was sitting in the gym after like an hour later or in the sauna, and I could like feel my heart pumping so fast.
Oh no.
And I don't know if it was making me anxious, but like because my body was having like anxious like symptoms, like maybe that connected to my mind and then that just made me more anxious. So, yep, I'm
Yep.
not going to take the pre-workout anymore.
Yeah, no. It happened like the exact same thing works for me. I think it works for a lot of people. You have like those I guess symptoms of feeling anxious and you don't actually feel anxious, but then your body's like, I guess I am. So like I am going to start feeling anxious. Yeah, it
Yep.
happens to a lot of people with caffeine. You just start feeling anxious because your heart starts racing and yeah, it happens to me too. But you shared that, you traveled to the States and New Zealand, right? Was it New Zealand?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So, when you were traveling, did you ever get sick, or in the States or in New Zealand? Or I remember you went to Spain for some time. Yeah, what was your
I've
experience like?
I've never been sick on holiday, I don't think. I did go to Spain last year on holiday with my friends, and I got sick about 5 or 10 minutes before going on a boat trip. I had a problem with my stomach, which I'd prefer not to go into the details of. But yes, that problem unfolded 10 minutes before going on a boat trip for my friend's birthday, and we'd spent like €80 to go on it. So I didn't have
Oh
the
no.
best time, but I did try and fix it by drinking a homemade mojito within 15 minutes of going on the boat trip. And I thought this was either going to make me or break me, and it broke me.
Oh
So I learned my lesson.
no.
But
Do you get
I
motion
I
sick?
haven't really got sick. Um, I don't know, but quite a few of the people on the boat did because the waves were really rough. They were what we say in English choppy. So
Choppy.
the sea was
Mm-hmm.
really yeah. So the sea was really rough. So I don't get motion sickness, so I was fine. But yeah, I think it was because the uh the water they used to wash the salad might not be
Mm.
you might not be able to drink it. So, or my stomach is quite fragile anyway. So maybe it was just because I also ate so much food because we were staying in an all inclusive hotel. And every single like lunch, I was having like 3 plates of food and then dessert. And I was drinking a lot of beers. And then for dinner, I'd eat like 3 plates and dessert and continue drinking alcohol. So I think I was just overloading my stomach and body with
Yep.
probably unhealthy food and booze. So maybe that's why, but yeah, it definitely struck a bad time. But I haven't
Mm.
been sick, on other holidays. I can't remember. But when I was in Spain living there, I did get sick once and I had to go to. It was really annoying actually because when I was teaching English there, if you take a day off work, like if you're ill, it's not like in the UK where you can just call up your boss and say, I'm ill, I'm not coming in today. You actually have to go
Mm-hmm.
to the doctor and get proof that you're ill. So you have
Mm.
to see a doctor and they write a note saying, this person's ill, this is what they have, or, this is the problem with a signature. People can do that in the UK because it takes such a long time to get a doctor's appointment. So that definitely wouldn't work.
Ah,
But yeah, I
interesting.
had, yeah, the National Health Service is a bit problematic at the moment. But yeah, I had to go to the doctors and get them to sign a note. It was only a problem with my stomach again, actually, and yeah, I was like fixed in like one day, so it wasn't serious. And what else? Yeah, the doctor spoke really bad English while he didn't speak any English, and my Spanish was pretty. It wasn't good enough to explain like health problems, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
I had to go into the waiting room and ask if anyone spoke English. And so I like pulled like I got some random guy to like sit in the middle of us and translate, and he was asking me like quite personal like questions, and he was like laughing when he was questioning me, and I
Oh
had
my
to
god.
answer back to him, and then he'd answer back to the doctor. But
Mm-hmm.
that's the only time I've got ill. I was in Valencia during the pandemic as well, but luckily I didn't catch it there. But yeah, that wasn't too pleasant. But yeah, I've had a pretty lucky experience with staying healthy abroad. Usually it's when I get back I get sick because
Ah,
it's late nights, it's traveling, and it's
yep.
a lot of alcohol. So that's when I usually get ill.
And I also think maybe because like you kind of get relaxed because you're like, okay, I'm home. like that's it. Maybe like, I can get sick, like, and you just get sick. So maybe there's this like psychological aspect of it too, because when I was on my trip, I didn't want to get sick. I was like, no, like let me do this. Like, I cannot get sick here. But like when you get back home, as you said, like yeah, from like partying, staying up late, like and stuff like that, you just feel so exhausted. Obviously, your immune system is more vulnerable because of that. Yeah, but you mentioned a very
Yeah, I think
interesting.
the
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
go on.
I want to say that you mentioned a very interesting thing about communicating with doctors. And I remember when I just came to Mexico and I didn't speak any Spanish. I had to go see a doctor, and unfortunately, there was like no one who could help me translate everything. And it was difficult because I was trying to use Google Translate. Unfortunately, the doctor didn't speak English. So sometimes I felt like we could not understand each other that well. And yeah, sometimes you just feel not like 100% comfortable. You're like, are you actually understanding me? Like, are we on the same page? Like, here are my symptoms, but like I'm not even sure I'm saying everything correctly. But then, slowly but surely I started improving my Spanish. And then um I have had a lot of encounters with doctors here in Mexico City with a lot of different specialists. I went to see a dentist, I got aligners. That's a whole new set of vocabulary and stuff like that. So, but at the same time, it's interesting because right now, I really want to improve my Spanish skills. And, like being in those situations just makes me, um, think of the words like, oh, do I know how to say chew, how to say bite in Spanish, right? Because when I go to the dentist, I need to know, like, do I know how to say molars or wisdom teeth? And I think it's just good for you to expand your vocabulary this way. Sometimes people ask me, like, oh, Veronica, how do you become more advanced in any language, in English, let's say? And I always say it really helps when you choose one specific topic that maybe you're very interested in, and then you go super deep. You're like, oh, I don't know. For me, it was with like aligners. Are aligners better than braces, or maybe not better, but different? How are they different? And then I started researching this topic in Spanish, and you can do the same thing in English, let's say, if it is something you're interested in.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned to me before in the past that you broke your foot or something.
Oh yeah, I wanted to share the story too. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, I have before that situation, I had never broken anything, knock on wood, but at the same time, when I was a teenager in school, I was always very active. I did gymnastics, I did a lot of sports, and I remember I was probably 12 or 13, and I ran into a wall and both of my elbows got dislocated, both of them. And so I had to walk like this for, well, if you're listening to us, you can see me, but basically I could not use my arms for 3 weeks. So my mom had to feed me. Like it was just like I could not do anything
Really?
because,
She
yeah,
had to feed
really.
you?
Yeah, my mom had to feed me. I could not drink water, like nothing, because my arms were just in front of my body like this. Yeah, so that's it. Like I could not do anything. And unfortunately, that was a very I didn't break any bones, but they got dislocated. So still, it was not a very pleasant experience. But yeah, in Mexico, basically the way it happened is I jumped off a rock into the pool, and I hit this rock with my foot. And so I broke a bone, like a very small bone in my foot. It's like the fifth, if you imagine your foot, it's like where your pinky toe is. So this is where I broke it, and first when I just broke it, like this moment, I was like, oh no, I broke my foot. Like I could somehow feel it because the pain was out of this world. Like the pain was horrible. I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, something is wrong. And I was in the swimming pool and I was just like swimming. And I was like, I think I should, get out. Like there's something wrong. And I got out, I look at my foot. It looks okay. It looked okay for like the few minutes, for the first few minutes. And then I started seeing swelling. It was getting more and more swollen, and I talked to some people there. I asked my boyfriend, and I was like, "Oh, what do you guys think? Like, I think my foot is broken." And obviously, everyone was trying to like make me feel better, and also because I was like, there were no hospitals there. It was like a natural pool situation, like a river. It's like an experience, like an Airbnb experience type of thing. So we had to go back home, traveling, and we were in a completely different city, like not in Mexico City. We were traveling. And then we got back to our hotel room, and I just could not walk. I put on my shoes and I'm like, I'm in pain. Like I don't know what to do. I'm in pain. So I used some painkillers, but obviously nothing really helped. And I was like, okay, let me wait. Let me just wait. Because I didn't know, I didn't want to believe it that I actually broke something. So I decided to wait. I came back to Mexico City, and the pain would just not go away. It was still exactly the same, and I could see some. It was not super swollen, but it was like a little bit like kind of red or like bluish. Like there was just one spot that was like kind of reddish bluish, and I was like, I think I need to see a doctor. And I went to see a doctor with an X-ray, and yeah, it showed that I had like two little places where my bone broke. And yeah, they fortunately I didn't have to like get anything too serious, so I only had to wear a special boot. And yeah, it was easy to put on, but I like being active. And I would even say, as a human being, you like having an option of doing something, right? Even if you don't want to do it, you want to have this option of like, oh, I can go take a walk right now. I don't want to do it, but I know that I can. But I couldn't. I was sitting at home and I was like, I wish I could go for a run right now, but I couldn't. So even walking was problematic because I had to wear this boot and it was not that easy. And I think I had to wear it for 2 months or 1.5. It was a long time. And then when I took it off, what happened is everything was okay. Like my bone was fine, but sometimes I would feel pain still, maybe because I hadn't used my foot for so long. So, and I was like, is it still broken? Oh no, like I don't want it to be still broken. So it's hard psychologically too when something like that happens, like any kind of sickness. If you break something, it's hard psychologically because you just you just want to do something so bad, even though right now I barely run. I maybe run like once every 2 weeks. But at that time, when my bone is broken, that was the thing that I wanted to do the most. I was like, I miss running so bad.
Yeah, I can imagine everyone with a broken foot thinks running is a good idea when they actually can't do it, but they have a genuine
Exactly.
excuse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, yeah, it was not a very pleasant experience, but
Yeah, I've never broken a bone, so hopefully, yeah, I don't. That doesn't happen to me, especially in a different country. Was it?
mhm.
Had your Spanish improved quite significantly then? So when you were talking to doctors and going through X-rays and stuff, it was quite clear.
Yes, but my doctor spoke English.
Ah,
So I think at that time I could understand him, but I prefer to speak English. And that's like right now, I'm not doing this anymore. But at that time, I could like notice it about myself that I was too scared to speak the language. And I would be like, oh no, let's speak English. Do you speak English? Perfect. Let's just speak English. Yeah, but now I'm like, no, just like let's speak Spanish. If I don't understand something, we're gonna use English, we're gonna use Google Translate. Yeah, but no, at that time my doctor spoke English, very very good English, so I could understand everything. He actually asked me if I wanted to speak Spanish with him since I was learning Spanish, and I said no. So it's all on me.
Sure. Are there anything from living in different countries? Are there anything that you've noticed that are different from, back home that surprised you? So, for example, when I lived in Spain, I realized that they don't sell medicine, any type of like healthcare product in, apart from toothpaste, I guess, in supermarkets in Spain. So you have to actually go
Mm.
to a pharmacy to even buy the basic painkillers or anything to do with that. And the pharmacies are not always open, which is a bit strange because you'd think that sometimes you would need some medicine or painkillers, but yeah, they close in the middle of the day for like 3 hours and they might close at like 6 p.m. So I don't know what you do if you have a really bad headache at 8 p.m. You just have to ask your neighbor, do you have anything or stockpile it? But in the UK,
Mhm.
you can buy everything from a supermarket, but you can't do that there. You can't buy cigarettes either. So I don't
Oh.
smoke, but they have specific tobacco shops where you have to buy cigarettes from. So it's actually quite nice because on someone's daily shopping trip, they might go to a different place to buy their fruit and vegetables. They might go to a different
Mhm.
shop to go to the pharmacy. They might go to a different shop to buy their cigarettes. They might go to a different shop to buy their bread or their newspaper. And then they go to the supermarket as well. It's definitely not as efficient than just going to one big building and having everything inside like it is in the UK. But you probably have a better sense of community, and you speak to more people the Spanish way.
Mhm. It's very interesting. I think for me, what I have noticed is that in Russia, you can buy a lot of medicine without a prescription. And that's something that I noticed when I was in the States and even in Mexico, especially in the States, a lot of medicine, it requires prescription. And so you have to go to a doctor to get this prescription, and then you go and then you get it. But also, I remember my first time in the States, I was so excited to go to a CVS. It's like this chain of pharmacies there because there not only can you buy medicine, but also you can buy like food or drinks, like whatever you want. Basically, it's like kind of like a supermarket. So you can buy I know, Fanta, you can buy bread, you can buy so many different things. And for me, it was something new because we don't really have anything like that in Russia, back in my home country. Here in Mexico, I would say there are some places like Walmart, for example, where you can buy, there's like a little aisle, a little place with like medicine, like I think it's called something like Walmart Pharmacy. But also you can buy food and clothes and stuff like that. But I would say most pharmacies, there are big pharmacies, like big chains, and also smaller kind of shops, places where you can buy medicine. Yeah, for a lot of things, you do need a prescription. And I think that's something that a lot of people from Russia, from Eastern Europe, they don't really like about like the States. I think Canada, this the exact same thing is we're so used to buying so many things without a prescription. And that's why we're like, why? I like in my home country, I can just go and buy it. Why do I need a prescription here? It's so stupid. Yeah, but then, you just get used to it and you're like, okay, I need a prescription. I guess I'm gonna go see a doctor.
Yeah, in the UK, it's pretty strict with prescriptions as well. With basic drugs, you can get them without a prescription, but like
Mm.
paracetamol or ibuprofen, if those names mean anything to anyone. But
Yeah,
yeah,
like basic painkillers. Uh-huh.
yeah, but yeah, for most other things, you need a prescription. But in the UK, we have a shop called Boots. There's also another one called
I
Superdrug.
I've heard of it. Boots. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of my students actually, he works for a pharmaceutical company in Belarus, and he in there they don't have shops like that where there are loads of supplements and also kind of medicines that are non-prescription, which are just advertised on like a shop floor, like a supermarket, and everything is sold in a pharmacy. They have very limited shelf space for like marketing and stuff like that. So he loves coming to the UK and just walking around Boots and just like looking like
I
thinking,
know.
imagine if I could work with this.
I know. That's why like this is I'm still I still feel so excited like every time I go to the States and I go to a CVS, I'm like, this is such a nice experience. It is so funny here.
Yeah, you could if
Yeah.
you're into like bodily care and supplements and stuff, you could go in there and spend a lot of money.
Yeah, you can buy like not makeup, but more like skincare.
Hmm.
Yeah, and oh, it's just amazing. I love it. It's a nice
Yeah, they sell
experience.
makeup in the boots as well, so and
Yeah, drugstore
aftershave and
makeup.
perfume and stuff, so everything.
Yeah. But I just remembered also my experience with COVID because I had COVID twice, and both of these times I had it abroad. The first time it was in Ukraine. And I mean, it was okay. Like I didn't go anywhere. I didn't see a doctor, and so it just kind of yeah happened. But when I was in Mexico, it was very different because I felt a lot worse. Even though I was vaccinated, I just felt pretty bad, and I went to actually see if I had COVID because I felt like I did, and I went to like got tested, and fortunately it was a very easy, straightforward process. You just go, you pay, they do a test that is so unpleasant when they stick this thing up your nose, and oh, I hated it so bad. But yeah, and I just remember feeling so um it's interesting when you're abroad and you get sick, you don't have your family around, right? So like you just feel extra sad or like extra sick because of that. You're like, "Oh my God, I wish my mom was there to cook for me," and stuff like that because yeah, when you're abroad, you live by yourself, you have to be strong for yourself. You have to be like, okay, I need to go cook something because otherwise, like, I can order something, but maybe it's not going to be that great. And when you're sick, you want like something super specific, and you don't even eat much of that something specific. So it was hard. It was hard because it was during the time when I was preparing for the Mexico City Marathon, and it was like in the middle of all of that, and I was thinking of not running the race and just calling it quits because I was so exhausted, and obviously I was sick, and I was worried that my lungs are gonna take a huge hit. So I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea for me to run a marathon, and yeah, but you know, I did actually run the marathon. It was very hard. It was very hard for me, so maybe it was not a great idea, but I wanted to, and yeah.
Yeah, you did it. That's the main thing.
Yeah, I tried it. It's hard. It is not that easy. So my next goal is definitely half a marathon. I wanted to run half a marathon last year, but I didn't because my foot was broken. I feel like every
Yep.
time I'm preparing for a marathon or half a marathon, like something happens to me. I get COVID, my foot is broken, and it's okay. It's fine. One day.
Yeah, I did a half marathon in Madrid, and I think it was in April, and that was a few months after I just started teaching in a school, and I was teaching like 8 year olds, and I was ill so much, just like colds and just like honestly, like every month I'd have a new illness, and I thought not again,
Hmm.
and because I was training for that, you don't need to train as much as you do for a full marathon, as you probably know, but yeah, it still got in the way because it takes like a week for you to
Of
get back
course.
to
Yeah.
normal health and fitness. So I was just keep taking a week from my training and also just going to the
Hmm.
gym as well. So that was really annoying. But yeah, I'm really lucky not having any serious problems abroad. So yeah, hopefully it stays that way
I would say
because you
another.
can sorry, you can have problems though if you go like skiing or something. I know people that have been skiing, and one of my friend's dad went skiing once with two friends, and on the first day, one of them got food poisoning and was ill for like a few days after that. And on the second day, one of them broke their leg skiing.
Oh no.
So that you can have some really bad luck.
Yeah. Yeah. You started talking about food poisoning, and I wanted to say that it is something that a lot of people struggle with when they come to Mexico. And that's why when my parents were coming here, I was like, make sure you take something for food poisoning, like some medicine with you, so that if you get food poisoning, like it's okay. A lot of people get a stomach bug when they're here, maybe because like usually you don't eat from like the street, like tacos and stuff like that, and then you come here and you just eat so many of those things, and your body is not used to it. And the hygiene is completely different. I always joke that I really wish I had done like a check on my gut microbiome before I moved to Mexico, because I think it has changed completely by now, because obviously I eat a lot of food outside and it is completely different. But when my parents came here, luckily no one got food poisoning, because obviously I also wanted to make sure, I don't like take them to the dirtiest places ever. I always made sure, they wash their hands really well before touching anything, because usually what happens is, you just go to a taco stand, your hands are dirty, maybe there, they cook everything there, so it's not that clean. Maybe in some places, it really depends on a taco stand. There are taco stands that are extremely good with hygiene, so it all depends. And yeah, like all of that, and then you touch something, you touch plates, utensils, you don't properly disinfect your hands, and yeah, then this happens. And unfortunately, it's something that a lot of people have to struggle with, because last year, my friend came here to Mexico City, we went to a festival, and for one day he was very sick. He got food poisoning, and everyone was like, well, like, dude, we have to go to this festival. It's like a 3-day festival. You bought tickets. Like, let's go. Are you going? Are you coming? He's like, I don't know. I feel so sick. And one day he didn't go, unfortunately, because he had to take some time to recover. But
Yeah, I've never had food poisoning either, so I am really really lucky. But I suppose I haven't been to that many countries where the standards of like food hygiene is that much lower than it is in the UK. I think drinking, making sure you drink the right liquids, and you have to be careful with
oh
ice
yeah,
as well, because sometimes
oh
they make ice with
absolutely.
uh, tap water, and your body might not be used to that type of tap water, or it might not be
Mhm.
up to a certain standard or whatever. So I think that's
Mhm.
a good tip is drinking bottled water. But there is a comedian called Stevo, and he's American, and he's in the group Jackass. If anyone's ever watched those films where they just do crazy things and usually they're hurting each other. They're really stupid but pretty funny. He used to be pretty crazy, and he purposefully drank the tap water in every single country that he ever visited. And he's probably visited, well, probably
Oh
close
my
to 100
god.
countries, probably. And he said that now he has the best immune system ever. But that's
Well,
not advice.
yeah, maybe. But it's crazy. I mean, you have to be brave to be like, yeah, I'm gonna try tap water everywhere. Because I remember when I came to New York City for the first time, and my friends told me you can drink tap water here. I'm like, can I? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm sure, go ahead. Like, here's your glass, drink some water. And I was so hesitant the first couple of days. I was like, every time I would drink this tap water, I would think, like, I'm gonna get food poisoning. Like right now, something's gonna happen. My gut is gonna freak out. And every time I drink this water, I'm like, please, I really hope everything is gonna be fine. It's interesting, how like in some countries it's completely normal. You're so used to it. Drinking tap water is just, what else am I gonna drink? And in other countries, you're like, what? How can you drink tap water? Like only bottled water, or like you have to have like a certain filtration system installed in your house.
Yep. Yeah, yeah. In Spain, you can drink the tap water everywhere, I think. But one of my
Mm.
friends just really said, "No, I'm not going to do that," and he drank bottled water the entire time he was there, which was a bit annoying because he just had to keep going to the supermarket and buying liters of
Uh-huh.
water, and
Uh-huh.
he just used so much plastic. But I
Yep.
guess it's a personal choice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we practically discussed all of the things we wanted to talk about today, like getting sick abroad. Obviously, getting sick anywhere is not a very pleasant experience, but especially with the language barrier, with the things you don't understand, sometimes it gets even less pleasant. You start missing your family. You just want someone to take care of you. You miss your mom, her cooking, and stuff like that. And yeah, and sometimes, as Sam said, there are certain people who can help you. Maybe they can translate something for you. As long as you feel comfortable talking about your situation.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I don't have anything else to add apart from if you are ill, just take it easy. Don't pressure yourself to do exercise or anything, but fresh air is always good. And yeah, watch some Netflix and lie in bed.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys for listening. Take care.
Yep, thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Bridging Borders. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe to the podcast for more useful insights.
Stay connected by following us on social media. You can find us at bridging_borders_podcast. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting.